This is Sandy Minkle. I am in Tucson, Arizona, and I am with Hannah Townsley. Hannah, where in the world are you?
I'm in Joplin, Missouri.
And what do you do?
Well, I am a wife of 20 years and a mother of 5 incredible children. And I homeschool as well as work home health care part-time.
And you have been a Christian for quite a while.
Yes, when I was 9 months old, my parents left for the mission field. And so I grew up in West Africa,
Mhm.
and we served there 16 years
Mhm.
before returning to the States.
And you did your own missionary work with Luke.
Yes, for 10 years in the Dominican Republic.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. And so you and I got to meet in a Church 101 group recently, and that was so much fun.
Yes, it was.
And you had said that listening to Jesus has really become dynamic for you through this experience. What did you discover that brought this about, that made this different from all of your past, intimate relationship with God? How was that different?
The key word listening is is what was so different.
Yeah.
Um, I grew up looking looking for answers, but told that I needed to find God's will for my life, um, to get my answers from God. Um, but I did most of the talking. I wasn't really taught to listen to Him. And so to get to see that up front for the first time was just incredible and powerful.
And so then after Church 101, you had a surprise major life event happen. Would you like to describe that?
Sure. Um, I had a loved one pass away, and the funeral was to be in just like 2 days. We had been through a major event of our own that I had always looked to others for validity and approval, um, and was insecure in my own decision making. And after Church 101, I decided to ask Jesus what He wanted me to do. And I felt complete peace about asking the children if they wanted to go or not. But I knew Jesus wanted me to go. I had peace about that, although I was very scared. Um, so I ended up being the only one going to this funeral. But I asked Jesus if He wanted me to know anything. And clear as day, He brought to my mind, I'm going with you. And so I just closed my eyes and I envisioned Him walking into that funeral with me and into that church setting and sitting with me in the pew. And I was okay. I was better than okay. And I cannot tell you, that was the first time I could walk into a situation like that and feel no fear or stress.
Wow.
And the focus shifted to loving on people
Mm,
and being a blessing. I
mm,
didn't know who I was going to touch that day, but I asked Jesus to be my arms and feet.
mhm.
Um, and I reconnected with a friend, and she lined up like 3 days later a coffee date. And we sat down to talk, and she says, you know, when we were at the funeral the other day, she said, I looked at my sister and said, do you see Hannah? She just glows with the love and grace of Jesus. And I started sobbing because Jesus had done exactly what he told me he was going to do, was to be there with me, not only with me, but in and through me. In the middle of all that inadequacy and fear, and he came through. And that was so humbling and so overwhelming, and that he wanted me to know that was special as well, because I knew that was not what I saw.
And this took you a little further deeper too. This wasn't just for that day, that week, that moment. This took you a little further back. Would you like to talk about that?
Sure. I realized after that that I have always felt inadequate. Growing up in ministry, I was always put up on stage and performing or going through the motions of things. Appearance and performance were key. Testimony. And I don't know why, but there is I would shake and tremble whenever I would get up in front of people. And that fear of disappointment or not measuring up. And it was like God was saying, see, as long as you stick with me, oh, there's nothing to fear. No matter if you say something wrong, but when you know without a doubt, God can come through and allow people to see something that you don't see at all. I'm in.
So I have one more question for you. So if someone were uncertain about Church 101, they were like, I'm just not sure. What would you like to say to them?
There's nothing to lose, and there's only to gain from it, because in all my church experience, we have watched families fall apart, relationships falling apart, a lack of connection. And it is a very huge concern in our heart, because that's been our life. How do we fix this? And in our search, God used some circumstances to help us step away from it all and actually see that listening to God and acknowledging that we have that one-on-one connection with him, and that you can have that connection with a perfect stranger when the focus is him. It's not about our appearance or our performance. It's all about him. And to be able to have that experience with Church 101 was so humbling and powerful. We walked away, we couldn't be the same afterwards, because we just got a taste of what God wants to do, and that unity that he so loves was there. And it's not about us, it's about him.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, Sandy. Love you.